Hey everyone, Tony D and Little Joan here with a hot take on Trump's condition. Trump's condition is good. There was a lot of crazy speculation about, oh my God, he's dying. And then, oh my God, he's getting into a limo and giving a thumbs up to his supporters. Look, the president travels in vehicles that are meant to survive full on shots from a tank and biochemical attacks and everything else. They're state of the art, man. He's fine in there. And he can stand up and walk around. He's not wheezing. He's fine. Okay? He's fine to get into a car and drive around. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it because he's the president. Now, if Melania was going to do that, I'd have a problem with it because Melania doesn't need to do that. She doesn't need to waste taxpayer resources running around waving to her fans. You know, she's important too, but not as important as the president. It's important that the president look good and that he's in charge. Okay? You know, none of these reporters who went nuts would ever criticize, past presidents. Back in the day, FDR, he was in a wheelchair, and no one was allowed to report that or take a picture of him getting in and out of a wheelchair or in a wheelchair. They always, treated him like a god, right? And guess what? You don't hear reporters today looking back on that and criticizing it because they love FDR and they're partisans. I got his doctor here is another update. He's going to tell us Trump is fine. Now, is Trump fine? Yeah, he's probably fine. Did they exaggerate or leave out certain information? Of course he did. He's a doctor. He's not allowed to tell you any information about a patient without the patient's permission. So Trump is allowed to selectively say, well, you can tell him this, but not this. He's also the president. It's a matter of national security. We don't want people to think Trump is dying. As a country, it looks bad. We're not on the verge of attack, but that would be a time to do it, I guess. But if Trump was very sick, they'd already have Pence in there. He's not sick. He's just not. He had a very mild case of the beer virus. It's going away. And now he's going to be touting it like, see? Because he got the top of the line treatment. Now, a lot of people, stupid Nat, a lot of people have said, oh, he's faking it. I don't think so. The Trump administration has been trying to keep a lid on their leaks for years, and they got the inner circle mostly locked down. But then a few days ago, Melania's friend released a bunch of tapes of her personal conversations. So the Trump administration certainly doesn't have a lockdown on this team of doctors. And they're just doctors. Now, they as doctors can only say so much anyway, but already there's a couple of guys in Walter Reed who've been flapping their gums about him. They're not going to get, there's no way he could fake this and expect to get away with it. Somebody would know. Somebody would see the results and go, wait a minute. There's no way. I don't think that's feasible. I don't think it would be a smart move on his part. You think he's going to just suddenly start to fake this? The only thing that maybe happened is that Trump was being tested and they got him on they treated him, they tested him and he has the antibodies, let's say. And they probably said something to him, well, Mr. President, sometimes the antibodies can give you a false positive. So it could be that he knows he got a false positive and he used it anyway. It's also true that he might have got a false positive because the test is only 70% effective and he jumped on the opportunity to go, aha. And he started coughing or whatever. Maybe. How are you going to prove it was a false positive? How are you going to prove that he didn't actually feel that bad? And once again, Democrats brought this upon themselves. They weren't truthful in the beginning. They haven't been truthful about the beer virus. They haven't. They just take the opposite position the moment there's one to take. Trump is sick. Oh, he's faking it. Oh, the doctors came out and say he's very ill. Or he's not that ill. Well, he must be dying. Well, Trump got in the car and drove around. He must be infecting everybody. They can't stick to a story because they don't have a story. They don't look for stories. The media just takes the opposite position now. You know, when you run a news organization, what you're supposed to do under the old paradigm is you're supposed to look for news, research it, and report it, and hope that people watch it because you're credible and the news is important. But if you don't have anything sensational, if it's a boring, slow news day, nobody's going to watch your news. It's just the way it works. So these guys eventually figured out in media, well, you know, if we jazz it up a little bit, then people will watch it. If we just focus on the juicier news, people will watch it even more. And if we, and the new thing is servicing the audience, right? As Tim Pool described in his behind the scenes, servicing the audience, they decided that their audience is basically on Twitter and they're going to cater to them. So what caters to them in the case of Trump? Well, he's sick. Okay, he's dying. They'll love that. Now, do they come to that conclusion because of the evidence? No, they came to that conclusion because that's what their audience wants. Then they go back and find the information that leads up to that. Now, I had someone in the comments ask me, and who was it? Let me give a shout out to Philip Rash. He asked me whether or not these media outlets are still using our public airwaves, ABC, NBC, CBS. Now, under the old system, what they used to do is they had frequencies, and there was a certain amount was designated for the use of the government and public airwaves for emergency broadcasting and things like that. And then a sliver of it, what the FCC is supposed to do is make sure your signal doesn't bleed into somebody else's signal. So then a section's for radio, a section's for TV, all for broadcast. Well, they don't really use broadcast much anymore. I mean, they still broadcast. A few people do, but most people don't have a broadcast TV anymore, like with an antenna. What they tend to have is cable, or they watch it on the internet. So the broadcast stuff almost doesn't matter. And his point was, well, that's our public airwaves. They're using our public airwaves to undermine our president and do all sorts of nasty things. Yeah, kind of, but they don't really need that anymore. They're mostly on the internet and on cable, and even cable's going away to dodo. It's all going to be internet. Eventually, you'll just and really the cable TV. If you have like something like Comcast or whatever, it all comes through the internet now. They just basically plug the internet in your TV, and then you have access to their server with their shows on it. It's all digital now. Before it was a coaxial cable. It's still a coaxial cable, I think, but the coaxial cable would come in, and then you'd hook it up to the TV, and then a box, and you could split the cable. I had originally in my house, I had like 5 TVs, and they all had cable because I split the line. And when I say me, I said I got the cable guy to do it. He split the line for me, and I hooked it up to every TV. Every room in the house had TV. It was like, great. Then they went digital, which means you needed a digital descrambler, which they charge you for. So you need a box for every TV in your house if you want every TV to have it. They give you one, and then I think they give you one extra one, comes with the price. And then you have to pay for the other one. So we went from 5 TVs to 2, and now I'm at 0. F you, Comcast. Although I'm still paying for your – what I consider overpriced internet. But the media is just hyping this because they're desperate to hype anything about Trump and they want ratings. And Trump knows this. So whether he faked it or not, I don't think he faked it. He might have taken advantage of a test or something, but he probably didn't. He probably just has the beer virus. Everybody's going to get it. He seized upon the opportunity. There's nothing to do between now and the next debate, really. I mean, the VP debate will probably be, kind of boring. This draws all the attention to him, gives him sympathy. Even Biden campaign announced that they weren't going to play their nasty commercials anymore, even though they kind of did on the internet. So this is a win-win for Trump. And he comes out of this cured of the beer virus. You're like, see, it's no big deal. I mean, he even said, don't be afraid of the beer virus. You shouldn't be afraid of it. You shouldn't be afraid of anything. You can't live in fear. I mean, that's what he's saying. And people are like, oh my God, how could he say that? So many people have died. Well, what are you going to do? Crawl into a ball and die, or go live your life? At this point, we have to go live our lives. You're destroying the country. You're destroying the economy. I mean, Regal Cinemas just closed, and I know that's no big deal to most people, but if you ever want to see a movie again in a theater, you might be worried about that. If you own a theater or worked in a theater, you might be worried about it. I mean, I don't want to see theaters completely disappear. Maybe they'll shrink down to local theaters that just play certain movies, classic movies and fun stuff like that. But we can't keep this continuing. It's destroying things. Small things and big things. Some people's lives. I have a friend, he coaches hockey. He doesn't know if the rink's going to be open or closed. The parents don't know. Some parents are out. Some parents are in up until the last minute, and then they're going to bail. You don't know. It's disrupting people's lives. But unfortunately, the people playing politics with this don't care. They don't care. They just want to beat Trump. Then once they beat Trump, if they do, which I don't think they will, they'll stand on top of the hill and go, see, it was Trump all along. Well, now all the states that are Democrat were open, and the Republicans, they can't reclose their states now. They've been open for months. Oh, well, we can open now. See how much better things are? See? The government breaks your legs and then hands you crutches, and then, see, I fixed the problem. It's exactly what the Democrats are engaged in. They're gonna keep breaking your legs. And then when they get the power back, they'll hand you the crutches and go, see, I made it all better. Remember that, November 3rd.